All right, let's talk Chicago Bears. There's been a report out this week that's kind of slid under the radar, but I think it could be massive for the future implications of the Chicago Bears football team, specifically involving their decisions at the quarterback position. Let's go right into the report real quick, and then we'll talk about it on the other side. This is from the Messenger Sports. The decisions the Bears will make this offseason will likely hold insurmountable weight on the future of the organization and its potential success. Whether or not the Bears decide to retain Justin Fields and Matt Eberflus will substantially affect the direction of the team. No kidding. According to Bleacher Report's Jordan Schultz, however, those decisions have not been made at Hallis Hall. I don't think a decision has been made. I think it's a week to week evaluation, Schultz said on Speak Live. I think that's the key part there. The fact that it's a week to week evaluation, I think, is very clear that the Chicago Bears and the new leadership under President Warren, Kevin Warren is obviously running the entire football team. And of course, Ryan Poles is involved as well. They have not yet made a decision involving Justin Fields. I think it's interesting because a lot of people feel like Fields has earned it with his performance this season. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. But first, Bears fans, put it in the comment section below. Do you think they should stick with Fields? Do you think they should go QB with their pick in the NFL draft, the Carolina Panthers pick that they picked up with the trade last year? Let us know what you think the Bears should do at the quarterback position. But Miles, let me throw it over to you. What are your thoughts on this news and just everything with the Bears involving the quarterback?
I think it's a very, very interesting situation to be in. Obviously, you're not in this position if you aren't the Bears and had made a bunch of smart moves, acquiring yourselves potentially, most likely, the number one overall pick in the draft, and possibly another top 10 pick with your own pick as well. That is where this decision starts to get murky. Because if you break things down, yes, Justin Fields has had some very bright spots this season. He had a really great year running the ball last year, but I think things aren't as clear cut as it seems. And that is why I think it's still week to week. And that is why I think the decision has not been settled yet. And let's get into those statistics and kind of just statistical comparison of this year versus last year with Fields and what that all means. This, of course, is also from over on Messenger Sports. It says the Bears stuck with Fields through a 2022 season in which he nearly broke Lamar Jackson's rushing record for quarterbacks, but was unreliable as a passer and led the NFL in sacks taken with 55 and fumbles at 16. They traded their top pick in 2023 to the Carolina Panthers for a haul that included Carolina's 2024 first-round pick and wide receiver DJ Moore, a much-needed upgrade to the weakest receiving core in the league. With Moore and a healthy Darnell Mooney, Fields' completion rate improved 1 percentage point from the year before at 60.4 to this year being 61.4, still well below the league average of 64.4%. His sack rate went down to 14.7 from 14.7% to still unacceptable 10.6%, but Fields' yards per attempt dropped from 7.1 to 6.9, and now he rushes for 48.8 yards per game instead of his 76.2 yards per game in that historic rushing of last year. It's the sort of progress that can be measured. There's very microscopic change, but I think that is the key here, Nick. Chicago, they go out, they make a bunch of trades, a bunch of upgrades to this offense, and Fields really either gets worse or just very marginally better in categories. There isn't a whole lot of change. I haven't seen a ton of improvement. He had flashes of brilliance and really, really head-scratching plays last year. We're still in the same spot, and it is getting to the point where this doesn't necessarily reek anymore of a guy who can be the future of this team. There's a lot of question marks being thrown up, and I think when you look at the stats and break it down, don't look at the flashy plays because that's what you're going to remember. Just look at the season as a whole. I think that there is a decision to be made by the Bears, and it could be without Justin Fields for next year. What are your thoughts on all of these stats, Nick?
Look, I'm a huge fan of Justin Fields. I was a big fan of him at Ohio State. I thought he'd be a great addition to the Chicago Bears when they drafted him. I like his mentality. He's a tough kid. He's got all the physical tools. He's a very smart football player, very savvy guy as well. It's not working with Chicago. And I'm going to go back to the initial report when it's reporting that it's day to day, the decision making, game to game. Look, you don't have to decide if it's game to game, week to week, if you have your franchise quarterback. The Jaguars, even when Trevor Lawrence was playing poorly his rookie year, they're like, we don't have to evaluate week to week. We know he's our guy. The Baltimore Ravens didn't have to evaluate week to week with Lamar Jackson. They know he's their guy. The Bengals, Joe Burrow, Chargers, Justin Herbert, obviously. The Chiefs, even with the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, they had Alex Smith. They saw Mahomes in practice and saw him one game. He's like, he's our guy. Right? You don't need a game-to-game evaluation to decide if your quarterback is a franchise guy or not. If he is the guy, you just know it. The fact that they're saying it's day-to-day, week-to-week, game-to-game, whatever it is, to me is a sign that Fields really isn't their guy. Now, there's the off chance final 3 games of the season, he drops 3 400-yard passing games, wins all 3 games, has unbelievable performance, and really just turns their hearts around. That's kind of what they're waiting for the season to play out. But again, and the numbers kind of support this, he still has not improved enough to be an elite franchise quarterback. I think they have to go quarterback with their selection in the NFL draft. I think the right move for the Bears, and I know we're getting way ahead of ourselves right now, is to trade Justin Fields maybe to an Atlanta Falcons team in the offseason, get a second and a third or maybe a first-round pick for him, and use all this draft capital to build around maybe a Caleb Williams or a Drake May and restart this football team with another quarterback. And look, it's nothing against Fields. I love Fields. I talk Fields. You can go back and look at our hundreds of Bears videos I feel like we've done, talk about how great Justin Fields has performed. But when you look at the data and you look at the results, he's not where you need to be as a franchise elite level quarterback. And it's just one of those truisms. Unless you're like the San Francisco 49ers and you're just a stacked roster, you need elite level quarterback. Otherwise, you don't have a chance. Fields, based on the numbers, he's not that guy. And we're starting to see the Bears front office signal that they're going to be moving away from Justin Fields this offseason.
And Nick, to me, with Justin Fields, the thing is, in my gut, it just doesn't feel good. If you keep Fields and he doesn't do good, it doesn't feel good because obviously you don't spend your first round pick or your number 1 overall pick on a quarterback at that point. But if you trade away Fields, like you said, if you get the draft capital, if you get the first overall pick, get one of those top tier quarterbacks, restack this team, I think you don't have any regrets there anyways.
No.
So with Fields, it's 50-50. Either you gamble and potentially he turns it all around and everything is good in the world, or it isn't and you feel really bad. You feel like you wasted a prime opportunity because not only do you have the first overall pick, but you have 2 really, really good quarterback options as well. Not much like last year. Last year was kind of murky on who the best quarterback was. I don't think we all knew if anyone would be as good as they were going to be. These 2 guys coming out, you feel better about making that decision. I think that is in my gut. I think getting rid of Fields feels like the right decision.
Especially at a certain point, he's played enough football where you're like, you kind of are who you are, right? Even mediocre quarterbacks have stretches where they give you flashes, even above average guys like Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott, they have games and stretches and even seasons where they put up great numbers and they, even get some MVP talk every once in a while. Fields hasn't gotten that. Look, I don't want to hear about injuries or things like that because every offense goes through injuries over the course of a season. I don't want to hear about lacking weapons. They got DJ Moore. He's a clear number 1 guy. Great running back room. I think Mooney is a really underrated wide receiver. I think Scott's a promising young rookie. Like they have enough weapons for Fields to have numbers better than he's having. That's really the reality of it. And the fact of the matter is, if you aren't elite at quarterback, and I'm going to keep saying this, you have no chance. And right now, the Chicago Bears understand that they're not elite at quarterback with Justin Fields. Fields can prove us wrong the final 3 games of the regular season. I hope he does. I really hope he does because I think he's a really promising prospect. I still think he has a chance at a bright future. But the reality is, and we're seeing it again from the Chicago front office, I think they're signaling they're moving away from him. And look, it seems like it's the right move.